Psalm 19 verse 14. Let the words of my mouth, and the meditation of my heart, be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength, and my Redeemer. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you, O Lord, my rock and my Redeemer. Those who are in that way or attitude of let the words of my mouth and the meditation of the heart be acceptable in thy sight, are in the way of truth. Build ye in the now, in the present, when there may be a whole understanding in self, little by little, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, for the words of the mouth and the meditations of the heart should be in accordance with one another, cooperating one with another. Hence may the Spirit of truth, the life, the light of the world, enter in. Let the words of thy mouth and the meditation of thy heart coordinate with thy purposes in him. For in such does the light and the glory of the Lord shine. Be not overcome by the little things that may beset in the relations, but, as was said of old, to those that followed close in the way, may the words of my mouth, and the meditation of my heart, be acceptable ever in thy sight, my Lord and my Redeemer. Let thy going in and coming out be in this attitude, and ever will be those activities that will bring honor, glory, to thine self and those dependent upon thee. Keep well in that way that would give in the heart, soul and spirit, the injunction of old, as given, may the words of my mouth, and the meditations of my heart, be holy and acceptable unto God, my Redeemer. Let each work in this manner. May the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart, the deeds of my hands, the thoughts and expression of my mind, be acceptable in thy sight, my Lord, my Redeemer. In the development of the spiritual forces, ever keep the injunction in the faith of the entity's forces and keep the words of the mouth, the meditation of the heart, holy and acceptable unto him. The word of the mouth, the meditation of the heart, should ever be acceptable in his sight. Not that there should not be that of mirth, for the Lord God is that is happiness, rather than that of sorrow, and the individual action toward each should, then, ever bring pleasure rather than raillery on any. Let the words of thy heart, the meditations of thy mind, be in keeping with that thou dost set as thy ideal. And know it is in him, for he, the Master, is the way, is the life, in him, there is no other. Learn, through the experiences of the body consciousness, through the experiences of the body mind, that he may be glorified in the words of thy mouth and the meditations of thy heart, remembering the premise from which the body is to reason. Let that light that has awakened thee to the divine, that may shine through thine feeble efforts in his name guide thee day by day. Put thy trust in him. Know that he is the guide that will lead thee in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Let the words of thy mouth and the meditations of thy heart be in accord with that as he gave. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, even as the Father hath loved you. Let the words of thy mouth and the meditations of thy heart be in accord with that thou would have thy neighbor show forth as the glory of the Father. See good in those that would despitefully use thee, if thou would know the love of thy God and of thy brother. For he has borne thy stripes in his body. Bear thou thy brother's stripes in thine own body. Make known to all that thou hast chosen the more excellent way, that ye know the Lord and those that love him. The Lord is thy strength and thy Redeemer. Then let not the cares of the world or the turmoils of those about thee upset thee, nor cause thee to be afraid. For the earth is the Lord's, and those that love the knowledge of the Lord keep his ways. And they that keep his ways need not fear. For harm of a destructive nature cannot come nigh to those that love him. Though the ways of the earth may appear dark, though anxiety may make thee fretful, the patience and the knowledge that patience maketh, for the awareness of thy unity with him will keep thee ever. Let the words of thy mouth and the meditation of thine heart be acceptable in the sight of him that thou hast heard give. Though I go away, I will come again, and receive you unto myself, that where I am there ye may be also. And the greater love as was shown, and lo, I am with thee always, even unto the end of the world. What greater manifestations could there be in the inner soul of anyone in a material plane than bespeak those things of the Son of the Father in such a way and manner that those that hear may know that thou art indwelling in thine inmost soul the knowledge of the Father, in the Son, and the love of the Father to the sons of men. In patience know thy soul may go out and minister to others. So, as thy presence brings that faith, hope and confidence in men's lives, so may the words of thy mouth be acceptable in the sight of thy Redeemer, so may he indeed give thee the abilities to speak even as the oracles of the fathers, as the oracles of God himself who sits in his throne and has given to his Son that ability to quicken the hearts of men that they may know his face also. God, thy will be done. Thou knowest the weaknesses of the flesh. Thou knowest the purpose of every soul. Be thou the guide. Direct our words, keep our hearts, make that burden in his soul clean through the promises thou hast given in thy Son, that if we cast our burdens on him he will be faithful to succor and aid in the hour of trial and temptation. Be with us, with him, and let the words of our mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, my Lord, my Redeemer, the Christ. 4. As he has always given to those he has directed, let the words of thy mouth and the meditation of thy heart be acceptable in his sight, and do it in decency and in order. 4. When thou beholdest the glory of the Father in the earth, how orderly are all his glories! Hast thou watched the sun in his orbit? How orderly are those places of the inhabitation of the souls of men, even in thine own understanding of this solar system. How orderly is there brought into manifestation day and night, heat and cold, spring and summer. And when nature, as man calls God, in its awakening begins, how orderly are the manifestations led. In cleansing self, let the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart, be acceptable in thy sight, my Lord and my Redeemer. The next, the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent one from another. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am there ye may be also, and the greater of all, lo, I am with thee always, even unto the end of the world. Could the Master promise to be with the disciples alone, that he spoke with always to the end of the world in the material sense, save they enter into the material world? Could he promise to be in the world and in thee save as ye enter into the material world? 4. When thou art absent from the body it is to be present with the Lord, and when absent from the body, if thine life has been spent in his service, it is to be with him. To be present in the body is to be absent from him, and his promise is to be with thee always. What wilt thou prepare for thine Master? When the door is shut from within, and thou takest counsel of thine own heart, thine own purposes, thine own desires, will this meditation, be acceptable even in thine own sight? Will they be the gifts, as thou wouldst have presented for the labors expended? Would thou be satisfied with that as thou presentest in that kingdom? So conduct, then, thine own self in meditation, so direct thine actions in and out before men, that thou wouldst have done to thee that do to the other fellow. Study to show thyself approved unto God, that is the giver and the author of life in thee and in the earth, correctly dividing the words of truth, that are shown thee as from the pattern in the mount in thine self. Let thine prayer ever be, Lord, here am I, use me. Let my going in, my coming out of communion with thee, be acceptable in thy sight, for it is to thou alone that I may turn, for I claim thy promises in thy Son, that I will come and abide with those that love the Lord. As the strength in thee has grown with the applications of that thou hast found good in him, so has the way grown bright. Then, keep the Lord ever before thee as the light to thy path, as the way opens before thee. For he is the good shepherd, and he calleth his own by name. Let the words of thy mouth, the activities of thy hands, the meditations of thy heart, ever be such that they may be as but sweet incense before the throne of mercy. For those that love the Lord find joy and make for righteousness in the hearts and minds of those that they meet day by day. Keep the faith. Love the Lord. For he draweth nigh unto thee. In preparation of self, fear not. Let thy mind, thy body, be consecrated, set aside, determined that as the Lord wills, so may it be done, and that the Lord will have his way with thee, that the words of thy mouth, the meditations of the heart, may be acceptable in his sight, taking only him as thy guide who hath given, if ye will abide in me, I will abide in thee. And he will give his angels charge concerning thee, and they will bear thee up, lest thou stumble and fall into materiality. Fear not, I am with thee. This should be upon the mind, the heart, that there may be the renewing of the life flow in the blood of the body, that the organs thereof may be attuned to the spirituality, not ism, that may bring the same to thy every activity, in all of thy relations and all of thy dealings with those problems of every nature in thy associations and thy dealings with thy fellow man.